Chapter 7 of our Amy Sparks book, The Tower at the Edge of Time. It is our second in our trilogy, remember? So we're up to, they're looking through a cupboard, remember? And there's something looking back at them, a reptilian eye. And I asked you to draw a picture of what you think would be around the eye, because we know that nothing is quite as it seems in this book. So where a reptilian eye would belong to a crocodile or a reptile, a lizard, we know that this eye is going to belong to something completely different, and you could have let your imagination run away with it, and I would love to still see your pictures. Anyway, chapter 7. The eye was surrounded by blue, scaly skin and appeared to be looking in through a window at the back of the cupboard. "Something's looking at us," whispered 9. "Yes, madam," said Flabbergast sharply, with increasing panic in his voice. "I am quite aware of that, and it's not meant to be there, or, to be more precise, we are not exactly meant to be here." "Where?" Flabbergast gulped. I'm not entirely sure." "You're not entirely sure where we are meant to be? We're not exactly meant to be here?" "I fear so," said Flabbergast. "Oh, good grief." 9 shifted her gaze from the reptilian eye and frowned at the ridiculous wizard. Prickles of irritation crawled up her spine and tickled her brain. What just happened? Why is there an eye in the cupboard? "Not cupboard," said Eric. "Window." "Well, why is there a window in the cupboard?" "Obviously because it was the best way to spy on the green-horned monitors when they were attacking," said Flabbergast. "Oh, obviously," said 9. She frowned back at the unblinking eye. "So there's a big eye in the world between worlds. Where are the sparkly twisty things then?" "Where indeed," said Flabbergast. "And therein lies the problem, madam." He looked at her with his pale face. "I do not believe we're in the world between worlds anymore." 9 stared at him blankly. "Then, where are we?" "Regretfully, I have no idea." Whoop! The table and chairs reappeared. 9 felt the same stomach-twisting, brain-jumping, lurching feeling as the 4 of them tumbled into each other on the kitchen floor. The hat stand whistled again. "And why does that stand keep whistling?" "It's giving me a headache," grumbled 9, rubbing her aching, brain-jumping head. "It's the tune Great Uncle Marvin used to whistle many years ago," said Flabbergast, staring into the cupboard again. It always pipes up when there's a bit of extra magic being thrown about. Presumably the magic surge, in this case from the hiccups, releases an energetic memory which the object has retained." "And your hat stand remembers the tune?" "Yes, madam, apparently so." "An energetic memory thing." A little spark lit up in 9's heart. "That could be why my music box is whispering." "Madam, please be silent. We have more pressing matters at hand," said Flabbergast, pointing at the cupboard. "Look." 9 peered inside and gasped. The eye had gone now, and outside the window there was now a snow-covered landscape. White, luscious mountains, sleeping trees, but most beautiful of all were the many softly glowing snowflakes. They were huge, bigger than 9's hand, and they were floating all around. "They've got faces," said 9, and as one of the snowflakes drifted towards them, she stared at the delicate face, the glowing eyes now meeting her gaze. It floated closer, nearly at the window pane. "They're beautiful." Suddenly the snowflake's face changed. Its eyes narrowed and its mouth opened unnaturally, wide, almost filling the window, as it bared its rows and rows of razor-sharp icicle teeth. It screeched an ear-splitting, blood-curdling cry. "Ah!" yelled 9. Flabbergast, Eric and Spoon scrambling away from the window, and 9 slammed the cupboard door shut. Whoomp! The house rocked again. Stomach twist, brain jump. Everyone and everything began to float. 9 scrabbled at the air pointlessly. "Why were there snowflakes?" demanded this is Spoon. "Why were there snowflakes?" demanded Spoon. "What the devil's going on?" Still can't do Scottish. "The hiccups are getting stronger. I fear they are not only causing magical surges inside the house, but they are now causing us to bounce in and out of worlds as we pass," said Flabbergast, warily eyeing the bucket of orange slop floating towards him. "This, I fear, is not good news. So, where are we now?" "You're the nearest the window, madam." Flabbergast pointed at the window dresser, which was floating behind 9. She grabbed hold of it and edged herself towards the cupboard door, then opened it and peered inside. Just bubbles, she said, staring in amazement at the hundreds of bubbles floating upwards. We're in Bubble World. They've got pictures in them. A bubble came up close to the window and she saw a reflection of herself staring back. A tiny Eric was reflected inside the next bubble. Eric, fly, said the delighted troll behind her. Nine looked over her shoulder and couldn't resist a smile at Eric, flapping his huge arms in delight, yet failing to move anywhere. Eric, fly. Oh, this is impossible, groaned Flabbergast, clutching onto a passing kitchen chair. He tutted as his hat floated off towards the fireplace. Nah, you think this is impossible, said Spoon sharply, putting his spindly arms on his kilted hips as he floated in a cartwheel above Nine, missing the upside-down hat stand by an inch. How can I conduct my experiments under these conditions? I think I'm just going to give up on the Scottish accent. Flabbergast narrowed his eyes suspiciously as the bucket of orange slop passed directly overhead. Whoomp! Stomach twist, brain jump. There was a noisy clattering of wooden furniture landing on flagstones, a rattle of crockery landing on a dresser, a thump of bottoms landing on chairs, and a satisfying plop of orange slime landing on Wizard. Enough! Barked Flabbergast, tossing the bucket from his head and wiping the slime from his face. This is intolerable. These hiccups must be cured. No, fly, said Eric sadly, perching on the table. He flapped his arms hopefully and jumped down from the table with a very unflying thump. Madam, I know what to do, or rather, where to find out what to do. There is a book. Magical Houses and How to Tame Them by Grimlock and Indomitable, said Flabbergast, leaping up from the chair. I borrowed it from the library when we had an infestation of flying frogs in the nut trees. I didn't return the book right away. The library was having rather a bad day. The book's still in the conservatory. First floor, green door, and watch out for the starflower. It nibbles a bit. Nibbles? Just a bit. Now, make haste, madam, and take this confused bucket with you, out of my sight. Flabbergast shoved the bucket into Nine's hand and tried to push her towards the kitchen door, but Nine wriggled free. No one would push her, thank you very much. Why don't you go? Well, it's all very hot and uncomfortable in the conservatory, and besides, I have an allergic reaction to the winter-blooming wart bush, he whispered to Nine behind his hand. I come out in a winter-blooming wart. Oh, for goodness sake, Nine sighed, and headed for the hallway, swinging the bucket irritably and sending orange droplets flying. Magical Houses and How to Tame Them by Grimlock and Indomitable, came Flabbergast's voice. I'm going to write a book, Nine called over her shoulder. Wizards and How to Get Rid of Them by Nine and Downright Irritated. And that takes us to the end of chapter 7. So it'll be chapter 8 next time.